Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Conversations with Calvin, We the Species. Do you see her over there?
I
Kind of
know.
waving. Uh, uh, this is like 6 months.
Oh my.
We've been waiting to do this, and why? There's so much to unpack. Because I'm with Tara Jane McDonald Vitale, the woman who discovered me. The woman who gave birth to my journalism.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, well, you did all of that, and I wouldn't be here, and my whole life changed that day I met you in the summer of October, in the summer of 2011, and it's so funny, and you're gonna take over the microphone. It's not about me. Well, it's about us.
Oh my God. I am so excited to see you, Calvin. It's been how long? A year?
Well, we haven't seen each other. We worked together for 10 years, and I haven't seen you in a year. You know,
In a year, you because of COVID.
Sure.
We've all been trapped in the house. You've been in the house, Calvin. I've got to say, you've got white hair.
Yeah, I do.
I don't even understand it.
Well, it's the tension. I think it's been the tension and the anxiety.
Very cute that way, though, Calvin. I really like it.
Yeah, actually, some people, Tim Wright and Eric LeGrand, those famous Rutgers football players, looked at me with this and the way it's sticking out.
Let me see the hat off. Take off the hat.
Well, I'd rather not, but
come on, friend. Ah!
There you go.
All that hair.
But anyway, they said that I look like Christopher Lloyd in Back to the Future.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly who you look like. That I was thinking, like, who does he look so familiar? That's
there I am. So
oh my God. Well, you used to look like, who did you used to look like? Howard Stern when you were
young? There was a time when my hair was down on my shoulders that people thought I kind of looked like Howard Stern.
Yeah.
I've had some experiences with that, and so
so happy to finally do this. So
I'm so
Joe, you're doing great. So proud of you. You're
thank you.
Taking off.
Thank you. And I'm listen, you changed my life.
Oh.
And it was that summer day when I was interviewing with you and Stephen for Our Town, the magazine that you were the assistant editor.
Yeah.
And I had answered an ad, and you set up an interview with me, which I was on time for because it was 3 blocks from my house. and I had no resume. I had no writing, no journalism experience, except I wrote that novel. You know.
Yeah. Brought in and put the book on the table.
Yep, and you asked me for a resume, and I threw the book on the table and said, "There's my resume." And you liked that.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool. and you hired me.
Yeah.
I'm a journalist.
And we eventually gave you your own page because you were so great with your stories and interviewing and the way you looked at things. Just great. So we're like, we got to give him a page. So we gave you the page called Calvin's County. And that was fun, Calvin. Really
fun. And then, we became friends. And then you suggested I meet the head of NJDiscover, Kurt, the Invisible Man.
Right, because that's MCTV 77. Kurt has that channel, and I was writing for the paper, and we needed something covered, and I thought of let's put it on the town TV show, and so I approached Kurt and said, Kurt, we have this. Oh, I think we were doing Arbor Day, and I said, could you cover that? I'm part of the Arbor Day committee, and he said, I have nobody to cover that. I don't have a bunch of people on staff, and I said, well, I'll do it. And he said, you want to do it? I said, yeah, give me a camera and a microphone. I'll do it. So I took the camera, did it myself, and from that point on, I was part of the team because I would just take the camera. I loved editing. I loved interviewing. So that was even better than writing for the newspaper. For me, was the TV, because I have the history of being an actress. I studied and graduated with an acting degree and a marketing degree. And I did a lot of acting. But when I met you, I was like, I thought to myself, this man would be great on TV because you just have that personality, you have that look. So I told Kurt, and he said, he remember we met that day, and he said it was Halloween
Yeah.
coming up, and the Halloween parade was in Asbury.
Zombie walk.
The zombie walk. And what happened? He just gave you the mic.
Yeah, just out of clear blue, there's 25,000 zombies walking around a boardwalk, and I bump into Curtin, and he hands me a microphone and says, Calvin, go out. And that's just his style. He was very laid back. He said, go out and interview zombies. And I completely panicked. I never held a microphone in my hand. And he handed me the microphone, and I did a pretty good job.
You did a pretty good job, but when you got back, I told you, I said, Calvin, when you ask the question, you put the mic there for the answer, and then you were like, so you kept talking. It was backwards. It was so funny. You were so funny.
I didn't know, but
that's the hang of it.
But it was a spark. There was a spark there, and then I don't remember the exact chronology, but you and I chatted because we were neighbors. That even made it better. You lived a couple blocks away. And then we thought we would approach Kurt and ask him for a TV camera.
Yeah.
And try to make NJDiscover, which back then was strictly a production company, and take them down the road of specialized news. So arbitrarily, you and I hopped in a car one day because we both had great freedoms to do these things in the time. And we drove to Asbury Park. Do you remember? We drove to Asbury Park, Cookman Avenue, parked the car.
Cookman Avenue. I really honestly think that was the first time in my life I was ever in Asbury Park or on Cookman Avenue, because I am a New York girl.
Yeah.
Based in Brooklyn. So you actually showed me a lot of New Jersey that I never even saw. I was, in the Monmouth County, but I raised my kids in Lanecroft and Marlborough, and that's pretty much where I stayed. So I didn't see that part of New Jersey. So you showed me.
It was great. And we did something really arbitrary. We just walked into an antique store.
Yeah.
And there was this elderly woman behind the counter, and we started to talk to her, and we became friends with her, and we wound up interviewing her, and it was just.
Where is that interview? I don't even know where that is.
That was Flying Saucer Antiques.
But is it?
That was Judy Feinstein.
Is it on YouTube though?
Actually, we had done that for that other company. We farmed that out, that interview. And
yes. Okay.
So we interviewed this woman, Judy, who, as it turns out, was a pilot.
One of the first
pilots,
right?
One of the first women pilots in New Jersey. Not only was she an accomplished woman pilot, but she used to fly Barry Goldwater around when he was running for president. And that was our first.
I wish we could have that video back because I think that was a good one. Plus, it was our first one.
It was. I'd love to find it back.
But if we go and think about our favorite one, it's so hard to say my favorite video that you and I did together. But I know for a fact that Jersey Benefits, right after Sandy, you and I took the camera out and we just went right into those towns. And what was the town that we went where we had, it's called Jersey Benefits, Take What You Need. Do you remember that?
Was it Union Beach?
Yes, Union Beach. And that family set up a table.
Yes.
And there was no one had electricity. Houses were upside down. It was the most insane experience.
We jumped right into the real world of post-Sandy.
People were crying. People were showing us, everything. It was just so beautiful. So if anyone ever got a chance to watch that, it's still up there on YouTube. Beautiful stuff there. It
was great stuff. It was real.
That really was my favorite one.
And you and I were becoming a team. You and I were becoming a team that probably should have been on, ABC or CBS or NBC.
I think that ABC and CBS would have liked us. We were good. We're kind of like Kelly and Regis.
Yeah, really a team. Different. I'm a little bit taller than you are. We were different. thoughts
Oh,
different, but
we got along, always got along. We never ever had an argument, did we,
we did
Calvin?
once. We did once. You and I, one of our early experiences was that you and I went to Tent City in Lakewood. And Tent City,
bizarre to walk all around.
yeah, it was really bizarre. You had 112 people living in tents.
Intense, and they had little picket fence, and some people had plastic flowers on their front, outside their tents. The people had pots, and they were cooking, and they had Christmas lights. I don't even know how that could have possibly been, how they lit. Oh, they had electricity running through there, because eventually, you know, the pastor came, and he had church. People were sending pizzas in to feed them. These people were, in my opinion, these people were very happy. Wasn't there a piano player?
Yeah, sure. Actually, he was a very accomplished piano player, and I'm trying to remember his name, and it escapes me. But they were 112 homeless people, some caught up in the 2008 recession, some victims of society and life. And basically they had no electricity or heat or food, and it was and there was no place for them. Ocean County didn't want them, but you kind of thought they
were happy.
They were happy.
They did.
I didn't.
I remember what you said when we left. You were like, those people need to have a home and a house, and they need to be able to sit down on their couch and turn on the TV and I said, Calvin, they don't want that. They're so happy.
And I agreed with you then and now. Then and now, I never bought into that.
Yeah, I think there were definitely people who were stuck there and they were looking for an opportunity. But I think some people just really had settled in and had enjoyed it. They had no bills. They had nothing to worry about. They had no worries because everything was taken care of. They had the pastor there. Seemed very nice to me. I'm sure though, in the winter when it got really cold.
By the way, our first day there's a great picture of you and me walking. We were standing in snow.
Yeah.
It was cold and we were standing in snow. And that's a great picture of me and you.
Is that video out there on YouTube?
I don't know.
I hope it is, because we did the great interview with the pastor.
I don't know. I don't know. We have to kind of check.
So much out there.
But that was the evolution of our journalism, and it was really special.
Can we talk about the Marke Psychiatric Hospital?
Yes.
That was horribly scary.
Yes.
Very, very scary. In fact, would you describe us? We weren't breaking in because we kind of had to cover. They wanted footage before they broke it down. We were supposed to be getting
kind of did break in, but we broke in legally.
Yeah, Yeah, didn't the police escort us in?
Oh yeah, you and I had wanted to do that story for a long, long time, and it was an old psychiatric hospital. Remember across the street? Creepy. The cemetery with the 924 people buried. And so we
it was 900. You remember the number, Calvin? 924.
924 people
were buried at the cemetery that had died at the Marke Psychiatric Hospital, and nobody ever claimed their bodies, so they were buried there. That's horrible. I think there was a baby there too, wasn't there?
I don't know about the baby, but there was no, and only after many, many years that the state finally put up a little plaque where we used to hang out that listed the names of the people when they died over the 50, 60 years. But it was closed for like 30 or 40 years. And I had this thing, you had this thing. We wanted to do a story on this place before they tear it down.
Getting into the ghost stuff. Didn't we around that time?
Yeah, so we politically, I found this guy who was involved with the Township Historic Commission, bonded with him, and I used his influence, and we got the township. And I don't know if I should be saying this on air.
Oh, don't say too much.
But anyway, we
got it.
It was a battle between the town and the state, and the state was giving the town the 400 acres.
Right.
They
And
wanted no one.
they wanted
Yeah.
footage before they broke it down. They
Yeah.
leveled it.
So
Leveled now.
our premise was we wanted to do a piece historically before they tear it down, and,
Right.
and so therefore the township let us go in every weekend for that summer.
Yeah. And I remember the first time we went with the police and they drove up and all the walls were boarded up, all the windows, all the doors on the first level because there was so much vandalism going on. And we pulled down the board, you guys, all, because we had a couple of cameramen, young guys. They pulled the plywood off. We got in, we all squeezed in with our cameras and the lights, and we were in the morgue.
Yes.
In the morgue. We opened the freaking only plywood that we could choose. We've got hundreds of them, and we choose the one that opens to the morgue.
Right into the morgue. And do you remember, it was me and you, we went up to the main, a flight up to the main.
And we split up. Everybody split up. And don't they say in those movies, Calvin, never split up?
No.
But they wanted to go to the basement tunnels, and there was no way I was going down there.
Well, I did that eventually. I wasn't happy about that because it was filled. But that same day that we went in, you and I weren't brave enough to go to the 3rd and 4th or 5th floor.
Mm-hmm.
But Kurt and 4 or 5 camera people went up. And I don't know if you remember, but we heard screams.
Yeah.
And they all came running down. And we asked them what happened. And they said, we heard children crying.
Yeah. And there were so many stories from that. You and I were walking down the hall, right down the center of the hall, and everything's abandoned. There's like empty empty medical chairs. There were beds and mattresses, weird stuff. And it was like they just abandoned it and left. They didn't really empty a lot of stuff. But we were walking through this empty hall, and you're talking about something, and all of a sudden I heard hundreds of people talking. I could hear them all, like talking. And I'm looking at you, and you're just keep talking. And I stopped you. I said, Calvin, do you hear that? And when I did that, it was completely silent. And you said, hear what? And I said, you didn't hear all those people just now? There were like people all talking and like whispering and talking. It was the weirdest thing in the world.
Very
weirdest thing.
Very weird. So we had.
How about when the smoke alarms went off when we went to the criminal part?
Yeah. I mean, we spent the whole summer. We went there like every weekend for like 5-6 weeks.
I got sick, very sick after being there. I had to.
By the way, I remember that.
I had to
remember
get like a nebulizer and stuff like that because
the asbestos, the mold. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It was a bad. We have hundreds of pictures.
Where's the video? That's what I want to know. Where's the video?
We gotta find it. By the way, I don't know. We gotta find it.
We went because we can't find the video.
Well, I have great pictures. There's a great picture of. By the way, there's a great picture of you and I just posted it.
Yes, randomly.
We're shaking hands, but we're wearing masks.
Face masks, yeah.
Way ahead of the pandemic. Because it was a bad place to breathe. And then, in keeping with you and I, there's so many great stories we have, but really interesting. You and I went to that birthday party for Emily. Remember, 101-year-old Emily?
Yes. Oh yes.
So this was an amazing, wonderful woman. We covered her birthday party. We interviewed her, and she was 101, and a sharp and a spry, and she wasn't even in a nursing home. She was in a residential place.
She used to ride motorcycles when she was younger, right?
Just a cool, wonderful lady. And we did this great interview with her.
And luckily you were married because
she wanted me to go back to her room. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I'm very embarrassed. I still am. That 101-year-old lady took a fancy to me.
That was very cute.
But on the way home from that, we drove by. You were driving, and we passed this Presbyterian cemetery
in Middletown. Yeah.
And I said, and it's funny. I've written about this. I said, "Stop the car! Stop the car!" Just like Natalie Wood said, "Stop the car" at the end of Miracle on 34th Street. Stop the car. And you stopped the car and you said, "What is it?" And I said, "God, look at that cemetery, Presbyterian cemetery. It was dated
So old.
1848 to 1760." So I said, "Let's go in." And you weren't too happy about that because it was cold. And we went in, we walked around, and
You had a microphone, one of that special microphone, didn't you have a
well,
special?
I didn't have it then, but I got it the next time around. But we just looked at the readings on the gravestone, and I had realized that everybody, maybe there was like 30 gravestones there, but everybody was buried there had died before 1776. So no one who died there knew that America was born.
Oh my God, what an interesting way to look at it.
So you and I then planned a trip to go back during the summer when it was warmer. And
With microphone.
I enlisted this professor, and that's all we'll call her, who also does ghost busting and those kind of things. And you and I and her went back to that cemetery during the summer. It was a Saturday morning, 8 in the morning. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. It was 80 degrees. It was perfect. And the three of us went in there and we walked around, and this professor took a microphone and went to a grave, put the microphone over the grave and asked the young girl in the grave, "Are you a little girl?" Because we read that she had died when she was 12 in 1760. And then we got into a little circle. And it's funny, I think I will remember your face forever when the professor played back and you heard the voice.
Yeah, I was terrified.
The voice said, "Yes, I'm a little girl."
I had tears in my eyes from that fear. That was freaky. And I was like, there's no way that this could be a fake, because we were standing right here. I didn't hear it. It wasn't like she could have stopped, rewound, and said it.
No, it was real.
Real.
And you heard it better than me, so your face was more petrified than mine. I kind of heard it. And then something happened to the three of us standing around there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember?
Started to rain.
That's right.
In the sun.
In the sun.
Only where we were standing.
Only where we were standing, it was raining on us. And I asked the professor, "What is this?" And she said, "Well, it does happen sometimes." So, so you and I.
That changed everything, because then you were on a mission to do a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. And then, yeah, because it was fascinating. I'd never experienced any of this. So you and I did some great journalism. We got involved with Danny Coleman from Rock on Radio, great friend of ours, and his nephew. His nephew was building a pizza place in a retired bank, in an old bank building. No, right? In Bordentown.
Oh, yes, all the way down in Bordentown. Yeah.
Bordentown. So you and I,
Lizzie Borden.
You and I went there with a couple of people in the dead of winter.
In the dark.
In the dark, in the cold. We filmed.
It's terrifying.
And there's one of the great pictures. That girl, the girlfriend of this guy Terry, she took. Do you remember those selfies she took?
Yeah.
She took selfies in the basement. One was nothing, and 30 seconds later, the other selfie showed that big white orb.
Yeah, the white orbs. That's right. We were looking for white orbs for spirits at that time. That was like one of the biggest things. Take a picture and look at it.
Yep. And I laugh. I don't laugh, but the stuff we were into and the stuff we did.
We did a lot of fun stuff, Calvin.
A lot. I mean, a lot. a
I
lot.
think I enjoyed doing the editing a lot. I think I did editing on most of those things. Um, we would go out and ask all these questions, then I'd go back and do all the editing. And that was one of my favorite parts, the interviewing and editing. I miss that stuff a lot. I wish we could go back. But I think that's just being near people and asking them questions and learning about people and their struggles and their journeys and how they succeed and how they overcome. That's what I miss, meeting people like that. You get to do it though, Calvin. You get to do it with your show, which is great.
I'm doing it a little bit in bits and pieces, and it's a whole different world. I miss our world, and we'll go back to our world, because what we did, we didn't even talk about, the television show we did.
Well, the television show. And I loved that. I loved being in the studio, but I still think one of my favorite parts was when we went on stage at the theater to interview the cast.
I know. Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah. I think that was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Really going out there and being, on location.
Yeah.
Just
loved that, being on location, loved that whole Axelrod Theater thing.
Yep. So if we went back after COVID's over, if we have the opportunity, I would like to take advantage of actually going and being on location for our shoots. That would be great.
And at our peak a year ago, before pandemic shut us down, I mean, we were in a chunk of Central Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to bring, in some cases, national type guests to our little show.
I feel like we were kind of part of bringing the Asbury music community a little bit closer and out there, to be seen locally. I mean, I just think we brought a lot of people together, and we were some kind of catalyst for the music scene coming back.
By the way, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, we were part of it, not.
We were really, yep.
Part of it, though. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely part of it. And of course, the byproduct of that for you is.
Yes, I was just going to say that's where I met my fiance, who I met him at one of our interviews when we interviewed.
I will never forget that. And it's funny, I always preferred you doing the interviews. You were more of a natural.
So excited about. I love doing the interviews too, but you were so excited about doing this interview. These interviews. You were so passionate about it that I was like, Calvin, you just hold that mic, you go for it, and I'll just, make sure.
You were working the camera with my son, actually, Neil.
Yeah. So Neil was the cameraman. I produced it, and you were the host, and you did fabulous. And you brought this one man on who was very, very handsome. His name was Joe Bonanno. Never saw him before. And most of the people I never saw before, because I just wasn't really, I guess, a local scene. I didn't know a lot of the singers. And I listen, I'll be honest, I grew up in the 80s. I was a Madonna fan. So that's the music I listened to. I don't even think that I knew who Bruce Springsteen was until college. So so I wasn't part of that. So Joe Bonanno was in that world. And so whose birthday was it for?
It was the first Clarence Clemens birthday bash.
The first one.
At the Wonder Bar.
Yeah, and Terry Camp was the one who organized that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you brought Joe Bonanno on, and we met for the first time. And I was like, oh, it's a nice guy, such a nice guy.
So I look at like this way. You got me into journalism. I introduced you to Joe, sort of.
Yeah.
So we've done amazing favors for each other.
We have. But aren't you working on another book? Because you said that you were working on another book, and I've been so excited to see your book, your new book.
I'm about 96% done of a second novel.
Because I think I'm in it, right?
Yeah, you're in it.
And
actually, I always, because it's fiction, I always like to cover up the similarities, and even though they're not supposed to.
It's not really my name or anything like that, but it's just.
No, but there is a character, TJ, in there. Duh. I just came right out.
I love it. I can't wait.
TJ Vento.
Vento.
And
Very cool.
and it is, you know, I've come to learn that it's like that movie It's a Wonderful Life, you know, it comes out Christmas time. You don't realize you've had a wonderful life until you have a chance to look back at it. And I've looked back at it, especially these last 10 years hanging around you and the things that we've done and how different it's been from my entire life and productive. So and that helped to fuel my writing this second novel, creating a character that's not me, but obviously I pull some things that are important and interesting, and it has been, hey, listen, it's been an interesting ride.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's recorded on YouTube on a bunch of videos, and NJDiscover has so many of the articles, and that's the link to everything is going to NJDiscover. Yeah, it's been wonderful.
It's been great,
and I'm so happy that we finally got a chance to talk, and you interviewed me.
This has been and by the way, we could talk. There's so many more memories here. There's so much, but the nice thing about this channel is we can keep doing this until such time as we're back in the real world, in the real life. But I've been wanting it from day one when I decided to do this Conversations with Calvin. You have been at the top of my list.
I know. It's been very busy though, Calvin.
Well, that's all right. You've been busy. I'm a retired guy, you know. So I understood that, and now it's even better because there's so much more audience out there that people can see, and
I wanted to be a perfect night that we had a chance to really talk and catch up and just, you know, be ourselves again. So much fun. So many fun car rides, right?
Oh, we've had a lot of car rides.
Oh, the car ride when we parked because we saw some kind of, it was dark at night. We're coming home from probably Asbury.
Yeah, Marlboro. We saw something in the sky.
Yeah, we pulled into a parking lot. It was at night in the dark, and we just parked the car, and you get your camera out, and the police officer pulled up, right?
Oh yeah, we got stopped by the police.
We thought we were, you know, doing I don't know what in the parking lot.
Yeah. Yeah. That was very funny.
Well, people thought we were a couple for a long time. They did. They thought we were an item.
Yes, and that actually, I'm kind of fessing up here. It kind of annoyed my better half.
I'm sure.
And it's funny, you know. It's funny, Tara. When I do these interviews, I always ask people to send me a couple of pictures so that I have. But I realized I have about 500 pictures of you and I. So you don't have to send me any pictures. It's fine. But there was one picture in particular of you and I. You did a selfie.
I love doing selfies.
You did a selfie, and it didn't go over well.
Oh no.
It didn't go over well there, and I use it all the time. It's a great picture.
Someone probably to what?
I use it all the time, but she out there in the kitchen gets really.
Which one is it?
You know, I think I have my arms on your shoulder, and I'm really close, and it bespeaks something more.
Oh, I know where that was taken. That was taken in Long Beach.
Long Branch.
Long Branch at the cafe.
Pier Village.
In Pier Village, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, she don't like it, and I'm not even sure your guy.
You want to delete it. You don't want to upset her.
No. At this stage of the game, it's fine. It's a great picture. So, this is.
Oh wait, what about when we used to? One more thing.
Yes.
What I haven't thought about in a while. The comic. We used to go to the bowling alley in Asbury before it became the disco. It was a bowling alley, and they used to, at night they used to have artist night.
Oh, by the way, we did that a lot.
Do we ever get video of that?
I gotta remember, there should be, what was that called?
That was crazy. That was something that I really would never have
We
on.
interviewed him, actually, he was on our TV show.
Yeah.
In a couple of, Tim was his name. His first name
That's
was Tim.
Mhm.
And they used to do these semi-risque,
I was sure that your better half was going to freak out with those pictures.
but those were pretty bad,
Yeah.
pretty risque.
Yeah.
And I forgot what, Dr.
Kicked
Sketchy.
out after that one.
Dr. Sketchy.
Dr. Sketchy, that was it.
Yeah, we did that, and we used to go down there all the time, and then we'd have these art. So the people would pay money, and they would draw these models in risque poses, and we covered that for a couple of times. We had him on our TV show.
That was fun.
Dr. Sketchy.
Yes, endless.
And you're right. You said something about music. We were such a part.
We were.
Such a part of that Asbury
Mhm.
music scene. Not that we contributed to its resurgence or rebirth, but we were there.
Yeah.
We were there in so many different ways. And whenever they had an event, we were there. We were always there. When they had a million events at the Strand,
Mhm.
to raise money for a million different things, we were there. You know what? We were always there as a team. It was a pretty good team.
Great. It was great. Well, hopefully we can do it again, Calvin, when the world goes back to normal.
We can do it again. We can. I'm
I don't know if
asking.
Kurt will trust us with the camera anymore.
No.
You have to find another channel to pick us up.
Hey, we'll figure it out.
You'll make the channel. We could do another channel. You know how to do this. You're so good at it. So
It's a whole new world of content, and I'm learning.
You've always said there's an endless amount of content.
Endless thing of content. Our formula has worked for 10 years.
What is it? We throw it up against the wall and hope it sticks.
Yeah,
that's our formula.
Exactly. And it's our anniversary, in a few months, our 10th anniversary.
Okay, we'll have to celebrate by Zoom.
Well, in June, we may or may not be out of the house by June.
I hope you get
It's in June. It's our 10th anniversary of you hiring me. And I talk about that all the time. You know what you did? You did all this, and you gave me the confidence and the energy for me to actually become a professor at Rutgers.
That's right. That is.
I mean, my official title wasn't professor, but the students called me professor. But I taught for a semester on a lot of the things that I learned being journalist.
That is awesome. I love
So
that. I think
it all began that day with you,
Professor Calvin.
Yeah, good stuff.
Okay, so maybe we'll do this again sometime.
Yes, we can do this again. I'm so grateful that we had this time together in this interview, and we got a chance to share our story, at least part of our story.
As soon as you get the vaccine, you have to come and watch Joe sing at one of the shows.
I miss that, and we're going to go off the air in a second, and we can talk about that. So I'm going to officially sign off.
Okay.
Sarah, I miss you so much. So much. I miss the hugs. I miss all that. To be continued. And thank you for this very precious, special time.
Thanks for inviting me on
Thank
the
you.
show.